The holographic display flickered as Ambassador Liza Chen stood before the Galactic Assembly, her steel-gray eyes scanning the thousands of alien delegates who had once voted unanimously to reduce her species to cattle. The irony wasn't lost on her that these same beings now cowered in their seats, their various appendages trembling as they awaited her response to their desperate plea for mercy. 5 years ago, Liza began, her voice carrying through the vast chamber with crystalline clarity, you declared humanity a primitive infestation that needed to be contained and utilized. You voted 8470 to enslave my people. She paused, letting the weight of those words settle over the assembly like a shroud. Today, you kneel before the very species you sought to chain. James Rodriguez, her military attaché, stood at attention beside the podium, his weathered face betraying no emotion despite the satisfaction burning in his chest. He remembered the day the alien fleets had arrived, their ships blotting out Earth's sky like mechanical locusts. The Zephyrians with their crystalline shells, the gas-breathing Vorthak, the hive-minded Nexari, all convinced that humanity's rapid technological advancement made them dangerous if left unchecked, but valuable if properly controlled. They had been catastrophically wrong on both counts. The first mistake the Galactic Assembly had made was assuming humanity would submit peacefully to their superior numbers and technology. The second was underestimating what desperate humans were capable of achieving when their very existence hung in the balance. You thought us weak because we fought each other, Liza continued, her gaze falling on the Zephyrian Prime speaker, whose usually radiant carapace had dulled to a sickly yellow. You saw our conflicts and assumed division meant defeat. You failed to understand that our greatest strength has always been our ability to unite against extinction. The invasion had lasted exactly 72 hours, not because humanity had immediately surrendered, but because they had done something no species in galactic history had ever attempted. They had weaponized their own planet. James remembered the moment when Dr. Sarah Kim had burst into the emergency bunker beneath Geneva, her face flushed with manic excitement. "We can do it," she had gasped, clutching her tablet like a holy relic. "The quantum entanglement network, we can reverse it." The aliens had been so confident in their technological superiority that they had established quantum communication relays throughout Earth's solar system, connecting their scattered fleets in an unbreakable network. What they hadn't anticipated was humanity's gift for turning any tool into a weapon. Within hours, every major university, tech corporation, and government facility on Earth had been connected to a single purpose. The planet's greatest minds worked in perfect synchronization, their combined intellect focused on a single terrifying goal: turning the aliens' own quantum network into a feedback loop that would tear their ships apart from the inside. The Vorthak delegation seems particularly uncomfortable today, Liza observed, noting how the gas creatures' containment suits were cycling through rapid color changes, their species' equivalent of nervous sweating. Perhaps they remember how their flagship, the Void Render, became the first casualty of human ingenuity. The memory brought a grim smile to James's lips. The massive Vorthak dreadnought had been the jewel of their fleet, a kilometer-long monster, bristling with weapons that could crack a moon. When the quantum feedback pulse hit, the ship had simply unraveled. Every atom in its superstructure had been convinced it was somewhere else, leaving behind nothing but a cloud of confused particles that spelled out "humanity says hello" in 17 different languages. But the real terror had come in the days that followed. The aliens had expected retaliation, perhaps even a counterattack. What they hadn't expected was for humanity to treat their own planet like a weapon. Every satellite, every space station, every piece of debris in Earth's orbit had been converted into a kinetic projectile. The planet itself became a massive railgun, hurling improvised missiles at light speed toward every alien world within 100 parsecs. "Your species have ruled the galaxy for millennia," Liza said, her voice growing colder with each word. "You've grown comfortable with your superiority, your carefully maintained balance of power. You forgot that sometimes the most dangerous enemy is the one with nothing left to lose." The Nexari Queen voice, a writhing mass of tentacles and neural, Interfaces pulsed with bioluminescent patterns that James's translator rendered as panicked clicking. Through her neural network, she spoke for her entire species. Please, Ambassador Chen, we acknowledge our error. Humanity has proven its strength. We offer reparations, territory, technology, anything you desire. Anything we desire? Liza repeated, her eyebrows rising slightly. 5 years ago, we desired to be left alone. We desired to continue our peaceful development without interference. We desired to explore the stars as partners, not property. She leaned forward, her hands gripping the podium's edges. You voted to take those desires away from us. Now you offer them back as if they were yours to give. James watched as representatives from a dozen species, beings who had once commanded star-spanning empires, literally prostrated themselves before the human delegation. The mighty Corvani, whose warrior culture had dominated 3 spiral arms, pressed their crested heads to the floor. The ethereal Luminari, creatures of pure energy who had considered themselves gods, dimmed their radiance to barely visible specks. The truth was, humanity had spent the last 5 years preparing for this moment, not just militarily, but psychologically. Earth's greatest strategists, philosophers, and ethicists had debated endlessly about what justice looked like when you held the fate of an entire galaxy in your hands. Here is humanity's decision, Liza announced, her voice carrying the weight of an entire species' judgment. We will not enslave you. We will not destroy your worlds or reduce your peoples to cattle. We are not you. A collective sigh of relief whispered through the chamber, but Liza wasn't finished. However, the galaxy will be restructured. Human colonies will be established in every sector. Human observers will monitor your governments. Human values, freedom, equality, the right to self-determination, will become galactic law. You sought to make us your servants. Instead, you will learn to become better than you were. James stepped forward, his uniform crisp, despite the weight of command that had aged him decades in 5 years. The human fleet stands ready to enforce these terms. We trust you'll find them more generous than the terms you once offered us. As the assembly erupted in grateful chaos, Liza allowed herself a small smile. Humanity had learned a valuable lesson in these past 5 years. Sometimes the greatest victory wasn't in destroying your enemies, but in forcing them to become worthy of existing in the same universe. The galaxy had voted to enslave Earth. Now they would learn what it meant to be truly free.